GoNC is NCDOT's subscription to ArcGIS Online. ArcGIS Online is a customizable, web-based GIS framework that is used by many organizations for creating, visualizing, and sharing spatial information. Web-based maps and layers can be shared using a link and are the primary products upon which other ArcGIS Online applications are built. While GoNC is useful in many ways, there are three critical functions. Number one, GoNC is a web-based GIS. Individual employees as well as business units can use a GoNC account to view, create, and share web-based maps and layers and other ArcGIS Online products that are built around these. Number two, the GoNC homepage provides access to NCDOT's downloadable GIS data products. To find the download link, use a web browser to navigate to GoNC by typing ncdot.maps.arcgis.com into the address bar. This will take you to the home page. The link is found by scrolling to the bottom of the page. Number three, GoNC is a website where NCDOT employees, as well as the public, can consume information produced by NCDOT business units. Access is granted by clicking the link at the bottom of the GoNC homepage. You must be an NCDOT employee or contract employee to be granted an account. You are required to sign a user agreement and select a role before an account is issued to you. To request an account, scroll to the bottom of the homepage and click the link that says Sign the User Agreement. The user agreement reviews GoNC's required practices and the known limitations of working with ArcGIS Online. Read carefully before submitting your request and review the guidelines often. Next, choose an appropriate role. Roles enable different user permissions. To select an appropriate role, first determine what tasks will be required of your work, then review the Capabilities column to identify them. Select a role from one of the three columns on the right, Viewer, Mobile Worker, or Creator, that covers your current needs. Roles can be upgraded or downgraded in the future if needed. After reading the user agreement and selecting a role, fill out the form at the bottom of the screen, then click the green Save button to submit. The GIS Unit Help Desk will notify you by email when your account is ready. Accounts are usually created within an hour or two after signing the user agreement, but response time can vary according to Help Desk request volume. First, use a web browser to navigate to the GoNC homepage. Before you sign in, note the tabs present at the top of the page. Two new tabs will appear to the right side of the ones shown when you are signed in. On the GoNC homepage, click on Sign In at the top right corner. Most users log in using a personal account associated with an NCDOT email address. In that case, use the NCID account login, the blue button. When sign-in is complete, you will see the username associated with the account in place of the sign-in button in the top right corner, as well as the two additional tabs, Content and Organization, on the tab bar at the top. If you are a business unit account manager or have a non-NCDOT email address, log into GoNC using the ArcGIS login. To do this, expand the ArcGIS login bar and enter username, password, and then sign into your account. After signing in, click directly on your username. Then in the pane that opens, click the My Profile link. In the pane, click the pencil icon to edit the bio. When you're done editing, click Save, and to return to the home screen, on the tab bar at the top, click the Home tab. The ribbon presents function tabs that are accessible from all ArcGIS online web pages. The last two tabs, Content and Organization, are only present when signed into your GoNC account. Signing in provides access to resources that are shared only within GoNC. This introduction to GoNC will use three of the tabs shown on the ribbon: Home, Map, and Content. Note the magnifying glass. This opens the search bar and can be found to the right of the tabs when they are displayed at the top of the screen. If you know the name of an item, you can search for it directly on the fly from this location. The home page layout provides access to some of GoNC's most frequently viewed map products and support documentation, and is a starting point for key administrative tasks. The two groups of thumbnails present, Popular Products and Weather and Incident Response, display NCDOT's most frequently viewed web maps and dashboards that are shared with the public. Links at the bottom of the home page allow users to request an account, download NCDOT GIS data products, review data publishing and metadata requirements, and find support documentation and best practice recommendations for common GoNC tasks. The Content tab organizes GoNC content according to the sharing levels shown on the blue bar. Sharing levels determine who can see an item. Items that are shared with everyone are viewable without a GoNC login. The circle diagram indicates that groups and owners are always within the GoNC organization and illustrates the relative increase or decrease in visibility for items shared at each level. Note that each sharing level has its own icon. These are used to quickly identify the sharing level of an item in search results and are used throughout ArcGIS Online. My Content is the default tab under Content. It provides access to items created by or transferred to the account holder, who is referred to as the owner. If you have a creator role, your published maps, services, and applications are stored here. My Favorites allows users to view items previously tagged while browsing GoNC or other ArcGIS online sites. My Groups provides access to content shared in a group that you create or are a member of. Your groups are listed in the top left corner under My Groups. Click once on any group to see a list of its contents on the screen. My Organization is the place to search for content shared at the organization or public level when logged into your GoNC account. This is a fine place to learn to search GoNC for existing maps and layers. Before starting a search, confirm that you are signed in so that you have access to the Content tab on the ribbon. While this demonstration is done from the My Organization tab, all content pages are designed so that searches can be filtered and have several design elements in common. Below the blue bar, note another magnifying glass icon with the search domain identified next to it. In this case, My Organization. The search return display can be controlled using the three buttons on the right below the blue bar: Filters, Sort By, and View. The number of items displayed is controlled from a drop-down on the bottom right corner of the page. The total number of items currently displayed on the page and the total number of identified records returned from a search is displayed just below the search bar. When no search terms or filters are applied, the total number of identified records is equal to all items shared at owner, organization, and everyone levels from GoNC. To search, enter terms in the box next to Search My Organization. Note the number of returned items in the count. Next, sort the results by relevance. This bumps authoritative items to the top of the list. Authoritative items are those recommended by NCDIT Transportation. They will display a green check icon. It's important to note that while sort by relevance helps, it may not place all authoritative items at the top of the list. Use filters to refine your search. To see the complete list of available filters, minimize categories and item type. To display only the authoritative items, use the status filter. When applied, note the effect of the filter on the total count of returned items. Note also that the filter indicator is displayed above the list. When browsing a list containing many item types, note that the item type is displayed below the title using both text and unique icons. The icons are also displayed in ArcGIS Pro when searching under the Catalog Portal tab. Note the first row items. They represent the most frequently published item types. The first two items shown are NCDOT's most frequently produced services. A service is a web-based layer or collection of layers that can be added to a web map's contents pane in the ArcGIS Online Map Viewer or to a map view in ArcGIS Pro. Hosted feature layers are the most frequently published service. It can be configured for editing and be used as input for ArcGIS online analysis tools or geoprocessing tools in ArcGIS Pro. GoNC creator roles publish this layer type. Map image layers are for display only. Display settings for these layers can be altered and saved to a map in ArcGIS Online Map Viewer, but cannot be configured for editing or used for analysis. The third item is a web map. Web maps are an arrangement of pre-configured layers designed for a particular purpose. Web maps are viewed in the Web Map Viewer on the ArcGIS Online Map tab or as a map view in ArcGIS Pro. To see a full description of any item in the search list, click directly on a title. This will open an overview page. Overview metadata describes the primary purpose of a service and how it was built, who maintains it, any update intervals, or any known use restrictions. Use the browser back button when you're finished to return to the search results page. Using the back button will allow you to view overviews of many items without resetting your search terms and filters. Finally, note the ability to filter by sharing level, item type, and by tags related to a specific business unit, division, or resource. All filters can be used together to restrict what is visible in the list. Before we can inspect a web layer or a web map, we need to have a look at the ArcGIS Online Map Viewer. To see the Map Viewer, click the Map tab on the ribbon. When you have not previously opened any other maps or layers, the Map Viewer will be empty. The default configuration of the empty map view invites you to search for and add layers here. A more direct way to view a specific item returned in our search is to use the More Options ellipsis. The example used here, NCDOT division boundaries, is a map image layer that is used in many web maps produced by NCDIT Transportation. We will see it again when we view an example of a web map. Web maps and layers are both viewed from this web map viewer. When you've added a single service to an empty unsaved map for viewing, the map viewer will display the untitled map text. Note the toolbars on the hard left and right sides of the browser window. Hover over any icon to see the tool names appear in a callout. The toolbars can be expanded so that the icons display their names for easier viewing. They can also be collapsed. The Contents toolbar is primarily used to manage and view map layers. Common tasks include add, remove, or reorder layers, or change the base map. Or you can save a permanent version of any unsaved map here. Layers view is currently displayed with a single NCDOT division boundaries service shown in the contents. The Settings toolbar is primarily used to configure layers, but is also used for working with the map itself. Currently, Properties is open and pointing to the NCDOT division boundaries service. The Settings toolbar is context sensitive. When a layer within the service is clicked, the Properties menu shifts its focus to the layer level of the service. Geometry is toggled on or off from the eye icon. Hover over the service level to see it, and then click directly on the eye to hide or show geometry for all layers within the service. When visibility is toggled on at the service level, as it is here, individual layers within the service can be toggled on or off by themselves. In this particular case, this service only has a single layer present, but frequently services will have multiple layers. Note that the service and its layers both have an options menu, and that the functions for each of these are different. Attribute tables are displayed from a layer using Show Table. Keep in mind that this option is not available at the service level. So, if you're having trouble opening the table for a layer, be sure that you're in the options for the specific layer of interest and not at the service level. From the table view, fields can be displayed or hidden temporarily using the gear icon. Click the X to close the table. Note also the Tables button. This pane allows you to add a standalone table to a web map. It does not display the service layer attribute tables. Service layers that have many thousands of features present frequently have a visibility range set to improve display performance. The range setting for a layer is shown in the Properties pane under Visibility. When the current zoom level of the map exceeds the minimum or maximum scale threshold, map geometry will be hidden, and the service will appear grayed out in the Layers pane until the map is zoomed back to a scale between the min and max thresholds. This setting can temporarily be altered from the Visibility section, but is not permanent. The defaults are not altered. The Properties menu also allows the transparency to be set for a layer. Click and drag the slider to temporarily change this setting. This only changes the way the layer looks in the current map. It does not alter the default settings for the service. The map can be saved to preserve the service layer appearance, and this makes it easier to use for a particular purpose or a geographic area. Use the Styles menu to change the symbology of features in the layer. Again, the default symbology is not changed for others when you alter it. It only applies to this particular map instance. Use filters to restrict the features and records displayed in a layer. Filters rely on attribute values to determine what features are displayed. Determine the field, the operator, and the value of interest under the expression group. This will build a single expression. To add additional conditions, click Add Expression, and when you do, note how the interface changes. You now have two sets of conditions to consider. Filter Results at the top allows you to determine whether or not both sets of conditions must be met, or if either set of conditions can be met. Click Save to save this temporarily to the layer, or you can click the trash can icon in the top right to remove your filter. Click the pop-up button to enable and configure pop-ups for a map layer. Pop-ups allow the user to see the table attributes when geometry is clicked in the map. For this particular service, pop-ups are turned off by default. This state can be determined by clicking directly on the geometry in the map. When doing so, it does not respond. Click Enable Pop-up slider to turn pop-ups on and to see the default configuration. The number of fields shown and their display order can temporarily be altered here. Under Fields List, select Fields. As with all other service display settings, these changes only apply to the map instance that you're currently working with. They do not change the default properties of the layer. The Labels button allows you to make changes to text used to label the geometry in the map. In our current case, division labels are displayed as a red number inside of a white circle with a red border. The labels in this service layer are drawn using values from the DOT Division ID field. Other fields can be configured here, as well as the ability to restrict text display according to map scale. Let's have a look at a web map. To return to our search, I'm going to hit the back button on the top left corner of the browser. And I'm going to find an instance of a web map that we can view. I'm going to type the word STIP into the search bar. And I'm going to open the STIP map from the More Options ellipses. And I'm going to use Open in Map Viewer. Note that web maps have a title displayed top left, and that web maps by default will present the legend view on the left side of the map viewer. Switch to the layers view to see the default services that are included with the map. When the service name has an arrow next to it, it can be expanded to access the layers within it. There's our old friend, the division boundaries. But note we also have NCDOT county boundaries, state maintained roads, city boundaries, and the star of the show, the NCDOT current STIP. Currently, only the STIP service layers are displayed in the map. Note that the eye icon is crossed out for the other services. Click on any of them to see its layers displayed in the map. The division boundaries layer used in the last example is also used in this web map, but its transparency has been altered. These layers are included to give important geographic context as needed to the main subject, which is the State Transportation Improvement Program layer. The settings for the service layers in this map can be temporarily altered as shown in the previous example, but can't be permanently changed. You can alter the layer settings without affecting other users. Maps can be configured to allow users to save a copy. Use Save As and modify the title with a meaningful tag. When this is done, the copy that you created is owned by your account and can then have changes saved to the layers as needed. For our current example, we won't save a copy. So any changes we make now will go away when we log out. To zoom in, use the mouse wheel, or use the plus and minus signs at the bottom right of the screen. Click the Home button at the bottom right to zoom the map to its default extent. And you can click and drag anywhere in the open map to pan. Notice that when clicking and dragging during navigation, that it's easy to click on the features in the map, and that a pop-up will appear when you do this. The pop-ups here are attached to the points and lines in the STIP layers. These represent NCDOT State Transportation Improvement Plan projects. The pop-ups give us specific information about project particulars. In busy layers like these, it's often helpful to filter the features of interest to a particular boundary, such as a division or county. The STIP service has 2 layers. Let's filter both to Division 5. Start with the point layer on top. Notice that the Properties pane opens on the right when you click on the layer. Click the Filter button, add expression, choose the field that contains your division values, click Save. Repeat the process for the next layer down. Before we demonstrate layer order, we're going to reconfigure the transparency of the 2 layers that we'll use for that example. North Carolina county boundaries and division boundaries. Let's start with the top layer. So the layer transparency is set at, in this case, the service level. I'm going to turn on the NCDOT county boundaries layer so I can see it in the map. We'll do the same thing for the NCDOT division boundaries layer. Eye icon showing for both. And then I will click at the service level for the NCDOT county boundaries layer. And in the Open Properties pane, I'll go down and find the transparency wheel there and click and drag to the left to make the entire layer visible. Now I can see the black dashed line with the yellow background. I'm going to adjust transparency for the DOT division boundaries layer as well. Now, division boundaries is below the county boundaries. If I drag it above the county boundaries, I will then be able to see it. This characteristic can be reconfigured for any of the layers in the table of contents. Simply click and drag at the service level to drag one service above another. I'm going to turn on the State Maintained Roads layer to give the Division 5 STIP projects better context. Note that there are no roads or routes identified using text or shields. North Carolina shields are contained in a separate service. Additional service layers can be added to the map using the Add button. Note that a lot of different options exist. To search for existing web services, click Browse Layers. Note that your personal My Content tab is presented by default at the top. Change domains by clicking the drop down and then click My Organization. I'm going to type Shields in. And then I can see it in the list here. Click Add on the bottom right. You can see the shields appear in the map. So then I'm going to change back to the layers view. And then you can see the new shield service available at the top of the table of contents. In its current state, we can't see all of the roads that NCDOT State Maintained Roads Service is designed to display. If I expand the service to see all of its layers, I can see that only one is being currently displayed at the Division 5 zoom level. The other two are grayed out. If I pick an area and zoom on in, we'll see new roads pop up and a new layer is active. And we also see our shields and SR numbers pop up that identify routes of interest.